Hey, Papa, you
So
mentioned on stream yesterday that dollar cost crypto set you straight or shared a great staking strategy with you. Would you be willing to share some nuggets from that?
sure. In fact, it's only going to be good for people when Pulse launches. And when Pulse launches, Hextrovert Ty and myself will do a video on it, and it's gonna be everything soup to nuts, what I've learned and how you can start off now at the day zero, and then hopefully T plus 2 years later, you'll be in a great position for a low cost of like $4,000 buy-in staking strategy. As long as you don't have to worry about gas in staking and unstaking, it's time to become a B-share billionaire. That's going to be the name of the video. Learned a lot from Huddle Dog, learned a lot from DCC, but DCC really set me straight, and he spent an hour of concentrated time banging me, banging me? Oh, yeah, he banged me. The end of story. No, but banging my head against the wall and getting a few things 100%, in there, and that was you've got to always
In there.
pay the premium to take care of yourself from years 5 through 2. Never, ever, ever forget that. A lot of people, it's easy to say, hey, to win the game, you got to go long and strong, put everything out 5, 5, 5, 5. And every month, keep building 5, 5, 5, 5. And you should enjoy some of those gains when you're a gazillionaire in 15 years. Well, I'm 49 years old, and that doesn't work for me, right? I want to be having a good time, taking care of my kids, showing my wife a wonderful life, and everything. I got different time frames. So how do I do that and still take advantage of all the bonuses and everything? Well, DCC said, you've completely neglected your short-term stakes. And I said, well, short-term isn't like the name of the game. He says, well, so you're going to be watching everybody enjoying their gains almost, 10 years. And what if you bite it before then? Wouldn't that be a pity? And I'm like, yeah, but the cost and I'm not getting enough. He says, okay, you have to pay the premium. Pay the premium for enjoying interaction. And I'm like, interaction with the smart contract on those years 2 through 5 that I had completely neglected was the key to really never having to emergency unstake ever. You want to be able to interact with the smart contract often. He suggested every 2 weeks. I never got there. For me, it's a monthly plan. So if you can eventually fill in everything in the perfect order, then you can win the game. And that's the key that we're going to unfold when Pulse launches, because you can't do it anymore in ETH unless you have a gazillion dollars, and then you're going to be paying too dearly in too short of a term, and there's no guarantee that you're not going to be paying this for the next 5 years to Ethereum miners.
So it'll be a strategy that you'll create for us, or
It's a strategy, but it's also a detailed thesis. It's an exploration of a theory. If you start to get your mindset around, a T share is a lot. If you break it down to B shares, you can have a party just staking all sorts of stuff. You work in your muscle memory in terms of maintaining the staking ladder, and you don't get big gains in the first year. You just build your muscle memory on how to unstake, be happy about it, and then pick the flowers, and then spread the seeds way far out, and constantly be doing that, taking like a third of the gains, whatever the third of the payout, and throwing it out. Not only do you win the game of maintenance of your T shares, or in this case B shares, but you grow them as well. You maintain that garden. Are you ever going to see the big gains? A B share is just a decimal, a couple of decimal places back from a T share. That's it.
okay.
Just a matter of shares, tera shares or trillion shares falling back to billion shares. Hey, you know what? I can also adjust my time frames. It's not 15 years anymore. The longest I would go, like a mortgage, right? You walk in your bank, you say, I'd like a 30-year mortgage. Well, you're 65 years old. Yes, and? Well, we don't really do that, sir. Okay, well, what can I get? You can get a 10 or a 12. Oh, okay, thanks. So in this case, you just pull back your time horizon to 10 years at a max. You still get the maximum bonus. You just don't enjoy those B shares very long before you then fall back to a little blanket of, let's say, 1.7 or 1.8 or 2 B shares blanket every month for each of your kids. And let them harvest that, the next generations, or your grandkids. If you're going to, you're going to leave this wallet to them in your will, the survivorship has worked out that you'd like to leave it to your grandkids instead, then you fall back to something that they can begin growing. And then the instructions are, while you're still alive, hopefully, is how to tend the garden. You've enjoyed it. It's paid you great dividends. You've enjoyed. Now it's time to pass it on to them. And as long as they know your strategy of simply taking 1/3 out and throwing the rest out to the end of a staking ladder should be paying for them too. Again, it's something I've been working on, and Ty and I are both the same age, so it really resonates with the 50 to 50 something crowd. But you can adjust it down for the 60 to 60 something crowd as well. If you want help with the math, go to stakehex.today, and it'll blow your mind. Let's try this for jokes, okay? Just so you know, this is all default stuff anyway. So we'll do $5,000. It's a little hard to match up what I'm seeing with what you're seeing because it's like a toggle of the dollar amount. Maximum days. Here it says 3650. Let's change that to 5555. It changes your bonus to the max for the max amount of time. So I'd want that in my scenario, you do have the 5555, but you have a greater number of stakes. Like let's say that you do, just for this joke, let's do four per year for 15 years.
So that's going to be like number of stakes is 4?
No, number of stakes is going to be 60.
Okay, so $5,000 total hex at the rate of 0.18 is 2763.8.542. Number of stakes is 60. Maximum days is 55555.
Yeah, let's run that for fun, because what you're getting is the estimated shares is now 3.34 trillion shares. But we're changing our mindset into a billion shares, not trillion shares anymore. And let's see how this works out for us. Right. So there you go. Take a look at this. The toggle for the price of Hex to hit $1. Shall we agree on a date? Conservatively, shall we say it first hits $1 somewhere toward the end of 2022? What do you think?
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe like June, July, but yeah, we can do end of the year.
Yeah, end-ish. Go ahead and toggle it as you wish, because it's impossible for us to do exactly the same. Like I just toggled the 99 cents. I'm not going to jerk around with it because it's almost impossible.
How do you
just $1?
How do you change that?
You go up to the graph with a pink line up at the top, and you left click on it and you drag it up and down and side to side. The first one and the second one where it levels off, that one you can also toggle up and down, left and right. So you need 2 different data points. This scenario, this chart assumes that it's going to level off and kind of ease sideways to down over time. So you want to say when it's going to be on the rise, hit a milestone, and then peak. So you're going to put those 2 in. I've got 99 cents toward the end of 2022, and let's say that it hits how many years later? 1, 2, 3. Let's say in 2026 we're at, I don't know, $15. Sound reasonable?
Yep.
Okay, let's try to do that matchup. I can get to 14.75. Close enough. Then we'll leave the payouts and the rise in the payouts as you see them. What I've got is 12.8 hex per T share by 2025, and then 18.4 hex per T share by 2027. And that's the gray line. Today was 6.1 hex. So doubles by 2025 and goes again by half by 2027. Sounds, again, I think, reasonable. And now we scroll down and we take a look. Things really take off when we look at year is 2028. They really start to gain traction, I guess you could say. 2026 is, you have, like I said, you're building the muscle memory through years 2022 through 2024. Just a minor little, how do I do this? And by the way, every time you unstake and you get your ROI, what do? You kick that all the way out to the end of a staking ladder. You keep it as standard, keep kicking out to the end of the staking ladder. Maybe it's like a little gimme, it's like $1,400 in 2022. Did you expect to make a whole bunch for the first year? No. But by doing this and sticking with it and maintaining it and teaching your kids about it, you're starting to get serious money by 2025, 50 grand extra a year. It's doubled by 2026, got 100 grand a year.
Papah, can I ask, is this scenario considered to be on the Pulse chain, just considering what Ethereum's fees would be to set up a staking ladder like this?
Absolutely. Exclusive to Pulse chain. Absolutely. You can't do this on Ethereum anymore.
Yeah, thank you.
What I mean, obsessed over, like to the wee hours of the morning and beyond. So my wife says, "What are you always looking at this graph?" She for months she said, "Why are you looking at this graph?" I said, "This is a staking ladder." She says, "Yes, but you're staring at a screen with these little sticks on aphex.rocks or whatever it used to be called. Aphex.win used to be graphhex.rocks, right? So I would just sit there with the graphic representation of what I built and thinking, how can I improve this? How can I improve that? This is going to take care of you through, just you're looking at, for me, I'm looking at the rest of my life in graphic representation and how much money I'm going to need. And I'm seeing the lifestyle and the responsibilities that will arise and the unforeseen calamities with health and all these other things. I'm laying them out, trying to build the rest of my life. So if I die, everybody's on autopilot. It takes care of them. It's basically you're building the trust. So there's the trust ahead of me. And this is the next step for StakeHex.today because it also tells you how much you're going to put in and where you think Hex is going. So I really, really love this stuff. And I'm convinced that given the amount of time and this new tool, you can actually plot a very low cost entry, much higher than the OGs of Hex put in, granted, but you're going to get there just like they did. This shows you that you can.
You talk about like being able to set up a ladder to be able to pull out monthly. Like initially my mind is like, boy, that's going to take a lot of money to set up that ladder. Have any thoughts on how to do that? Or is that just like, no, hey, throw $100 a month. Like it doesn't have to be a ton of money.
No, my idea is that it doesn't take a ton of money and it's possible to do it on Pulse Chain. You can't do it on Ethereum anymore. It's done. It's just dead for use, not just for Hex in this regard, but for small stakes, but a lot of other projects, which is why this is going to be absolutely amazing. So yeah, my idea is that you only do it on Pulse where Pulse Chain, where pennies in Pulse you can get all funky and creative about a beautiful staking ladder. Remember, back in the days when Hex was early, not for very long, we had the luxury of staking for pennies on the Ethereum blockchain. And I remember like not getting exactly the right day that I wanted by like an order of like just 2 days off. I didn't calculate because we didn't have the interface on the hex.com. We didn't have the interface to be able to figure out the date exactly for days. So you would calculate it out and you'd use calendar to try to find a date that you want to lay it in, but you're off by a day or two. So you're like, oh, I missed the weekend. The weekend will be when I want to get paid and party. So I'll pull that Friday, I'll cancel that, pay the gas, and I'll restake it. Could you imagine doing it now? $60 at a pop? No. So no, it's for Ethereum. It's for Pulse Chain.
And did you back that stake? Like, did you say, hey, I want to have monthly stakes every month for the next 15 years? Or did you say, hey, I'm going to start 15 years from now and back stake it monthly?
Yeah, and that's what the video is going to show that I'm going to be putting together with Hextrovert Ty. It was a growth. It's not like, hey, I'm going to put 5555 and I'm going to work backwards. It wasn't as easy as that. It's far more complex. So there's anchor points, 5, 10, 15. Then there's thirds, and then within each third, there's ideas and things to structure, and big moments in your life that you want to prepare for. So what does it look like?
Looking at it.
Hey, there he is. There he is. Yes.
What'd you say,
Tom?
So
I said it hurts my head just looking at the graphical representation of what Papah and I are going to do.
Nice.
Yeah. It's got all sorts of crazy theories to play out. It addresses everything. Remember, you got to think long and hard and look at it like, Picasso would look at a canvas. Just stare at it and see what is kind of looking at you, staring back at you. It is the representation of your life from a financial sense, all the way in from now until 15 years from now. But if the strategy is correct, you're going to be repeating this maybe 2-3 times and then you're done. So it's got to be perfect. So it's easy.